Welcome to today's Catholic Daily Readings from Christus Dominus Bread of Life. A reading from the book of Exodus. And when Moses descended from Mount Sinai, he held the 2 tablets of the testimony, and he did not know that his face was radiant with glory because of the conversation of the Lord. And Aaron and the sons of Israel, seeing the face of Moses radiant with glory, were afraid to approach closely. And they were called by him, and they returned, both Aaron and the leaders of the assembly. And after he had spoken to them, all the sons of Israel also approached, and he instructed them in all that he had heard from the Lord on Mount Sinai. And having completed these words, he placed a veil over his face. But when he entered to the Lord and was speaking with him, he took it off until he exited, and then he spoke to the sons of Israel all that had been commanded to him. And they saw that the face of Moses, when he exited, was radiant with glory, but he covered his face again whenever he spoke to them.
Extol the Lord our God and worship at his footstool. Holy is he. Holy is the Lord. Moses and Aaron were among his priests, and Samuel among those who called upon his name. They called upon the Lord, and he answered them. The pillar of cloud he spoke to them. They heard his decrees and the law he gave them. Holy is the Lord our Extol the Lord our God and worship at his holy mountain. For holy is the Lord our Holy is the Lord our
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which having been found, a man hid again. And in his joy he went away and sold all that he had, and he bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking good pearls. Having found one pearl of great value, he went away and sold all that he had, and he bought it. Join us for today's reflection. The first thing people notice when you've been truly changed is your face. Not what you say, not what you do, but something different in your expression. A glow, a peace, a joy that wasn't there before. You can't fake it and you can't hide it. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai after spending 40 days in God's presence, his face was literally radiating light. The skin of his face shone so brightly that the Israelites were afraid to come near him. He had no idea it was happening. That's always how real transformation works. The person experiencing it is the last to notice. Everyone else can see it immediately, but you're just living your life, unaware that something fundamental has shifted. Moses had been in the presence of absolute holiness for 40 days. He had seen God's glory, heard his voice, received his commandments written by the divine finger. When you spend that much time with the source of all light, you start reflecting that light, whether you realize it or not. But here's what's remarkable. The Israelites' first reaction wasn't worship or wonder, it was fear. They couldn't handle being around someone who had been that close to God, so Moses did something extraordinary. He put a veil over his face when he spoke to them, removing it only when he went back into God's presence. This is the cost of real transformation. Sometimes the very people who should celebrate your change are the ones most threatened by it. Your new peace makes them nervous. Your joy exposes their emptiness. Your closeness to God highlights their distance. Jesus understood this when he told the parables of the hidden treasure and the pearl of great price. Both stories are about people who stumble upon something so valuable that it changes everything about how they live. The man finds treasure buried in a field. In his joy, he goes and sells everything he has to buy that field. The merchant searching for fine pearls finds one of extraordinary value and sells all his possessions to purchase it. Both men make the same choice. They give up everything they have for the one thing that matters most. But notice what Jesus emphasizes. The man who found the treasure acted in his joy. This wasn't a grim sacrifice or a reluctant trade-off. This was someone so overwhelmed by what he discovered that giving up everything else felt like the obvious choice. That's what happens when you encounter something truly valuable. Everything else pales in comparison. The sacrifice doesn't feel like loss, it feels like wisdom. Moses experienced this. 40 days in God's presence made everything else seem secondary. The complaints of the people, the challenges of leadership, the uncertainties of the wilderness, none of it could diminish what he had experienced on the mountain. His face shone because his heart was full. His appearance changed because his priorities had been transformed. The psalm captures this perfectly. Holy is the Lord our God. This isn't just a statement about God's character. It's a declaration about what happens when you truly encounter holiness. You can't be the same afterward, but here's what we often miss. Moses didn't stay on the mountain. He came down. He veiled his face when necessary to serve the people who couldn't handle his transformation. He used his encounter with God not to separate himself from others, but to better serve them. Real transformation isn't about becoming so holy that you can't relate to ordinary people. It's about becoming so filled with God's presence that you can meet people where they are while carrying something they desperately need. The treasure hidden in the field isn't meant to be hoarded. The pearl of great price isn't meant to be locked away. The light that shines from your face isn't meant to blind people, but to guide them. Moses learned to manage his transformation. He knew when to reveal the glory and when to veil it. He understood that sometimes love means dimming your light so others can see it all. This is the wisdom we need today. When God transforms you, when you discover the treasure that makes everything else seem worthless, when you find the pearl that's worth selling everything to obtain, you have to learn how to carry that transformation in a world that might not be ready for its full brightness. Some people will be drawn to the change they see in you. Others will be frightened by it. Your job isn't to force them to accept your transformation. Your job is to love them faithfully while carrying the treasure you've found. The face that changes everything isn't the one that blinds people with its brightness. It's the one that glows with such genuine joy and peace that others begin to wonder what you've discovered. Moses' shining face was proof that encountering God changes everything. The hidden treasure and precious pearl are proof that when you find what really matters, everything else becomes negotiable. What you found in God is worth more than everything you could give up for it, and the change it creates in you, the light it puts in your eyes, the peace it brings to your expression, that's not something you manufacture. That's something you receive, and once you've received it, it shows.